The BPPC assumed office with a mission to make the natural resources sector more transparent, to maximize investments and to ensure that Guyanese can benefit in a more direct way from the nation's patrimony. But first, there were challenges left by the former administration to be confronted and overcome. Soon after taking up the mantle, the government was forced to plug $350 million into the struggling Guyana Forestry Commission to overcome operational costs and wages for the remainder of 2020. Minister of Natural Resources Vikram Bharat also engaged the Commission and other stakeholders within the sector to examine strategies to enhance the financial performance and management of the entity. While it made adjustments on that front, the government also amended its regulations to allow sawmillers to export logs, thereby boosting production within the industry and increasing revenues. VAT was also removed from exports, opening a path to recovery for the sector and the Commission. As government announced the measures to boost the sector, loggers and sawmillers welcomed the news.
From August to now, since the new government take office, I can see great improvement. And I want to congratulate President Ali for that. Because about 3 years I didn't do woodwork. And now I'm doing woodwork. President Ali, I can see he's doing great. In the forestry sector, equipments, we can bring in equipment, duty-free equipments. And that is good. He opening door for us, for his people, because he loves his people.
Sawmillers also praised the decision to open up the industry, thereby allowing more of them to export logs.
It would be a bit more competitive because we are currently right now exporting logs right now. But if they are competitors, we would have to improve, as you said, the quality. And probably it would be better for the customers because they would have a better quality to deal with and so forth. So I think in general it would benefit the consumers.
Like forestry, the mining sector was affected by the COVID pandemic, but there were tax reliefs included in the 2020 emergency budget, such as the removal of VAT on machinery, equipment, and hinterland travel to jumpstart the industry. This provided much-needed stimulation as the government worked on the phased reopening of the economy and stayed true to its manifesto promise of removing obstacles to the sector's development. To further demonstrate its commitment to the sector, President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali in September held a meeting with miners and members of the Ghana Gold and Diamond Miners Association at State House. Many of the miners were pleased with the measures announced by the government.
So the initiative that President took yesterday and his cabinet was fantastic. They gave a lot of relief to the sector by giving back our entire mining community a duty-free concession for earth-moving machinery such as excavators, bulldozers, etc., which is needed. And ATV bikes, we always needed ATV bikes to get access to monitor the property and also do more prospecting in that regard. The entire mine association and on behalf of the miners, we welcome that, and we see the initiative of the government is taking to ensure all the key sectors play an important role in the development of the country.
Given the current state of the economy, given the current state of the nation with the pandemic and all the other things that we're dealing with, we're very heartened that the government has kept its promise to the mining sector, and we know that more could be done, but more will be done at a later time. We're very grateful for what has been given thus far, and we intend to continue working with the government to prop up the sector and contribute to the development of the nation.
In addition to these incentives, the Ghana Geology and Mines Commission commenced work on upgrading and adopting, where applicable, ICT programs in key departments, such as the Land Management and Mines divisions, to promote transparency and increase efficiency within its system. The government also implemented active monitoring to ensure adherence to COVID-19 protocols in mining areas in regions 1, 7, 8, and 9.
Especially at the time when all the other sectors have been failing. Mining has really kept Guyana's economy afloat. And especially too, that we haven't used any of the almost 350 million oil revenue that we would have collected so far from the sale of our crude. Not a single dollar has been used from that direct oil proceeds. So it shows that mining is the driving force in our economy.
The Natural Resources Minister said these tangible actions are a demonstration of the importance the government places on the sector. He has assured stakeholders that the forestry and mining sectors will not be forsaken as the government moves to develop the oil and gas industry.
We would continue to work to incentivize these traditional sectors, because I know a lot of people are worried that now that Guyana is an oil-producing nation, that we will forsake forestry or mining or quarry or manganese. The answer to that is no, we will not. As a government, we are committed to ensuring that the traditional sectors receives the necessary incentives to ensure that we grow those sectors from strength to strength, and that oil and gas can be a supplement.
At the time the PPPC government assumed office, the review of the Payara Field Development Plan had been moving at a sloth pace under the former APNU-AFC administration. The new government quickly brought in an expert team and was able to close the review process for the US $9 billion project in a matter of weeks. The Payara permit included improved environmental regulations for issues such as flaring and the dumping of wastewater. The Liza Phase 1 environmental permit was also recently amended to charge ExxonMobil fees for flaring. And in keeping with a promise to maximize local participation in the industry, the government hired a team of experts to make recommendations on the development of Guyana's local content policy. With the help of that team, Guyana was able to develop a policy that has undergone extensive consultations with civil society. Government has also commenced drafting of the local content legislation, with President Ali taking a lead role.
As our country continues to grow and change in nature, different aspects of the economy will evolve. The document or local content policy has to continuously evolve with the development of our country. And that is why, for us, the local content policy has to be a living policy. It has to be a policy that is flexible, a policy that is responsive, a policy that has great clarity, a policy that sets the framework through which all those who are engaged, not only in the oil and gas sector, but the forward and backward linkages of the oil and gas sector, all would understand fully what are their responsibilities to local content.
Vice President Dr. Bar Jagdeo said the PPPC government has made a promise, particularly in the oil and gas sector, to have a local content policy to guide the actions of those investing in the industry. Guyanese, he said, must be beneficiaries of the sector's activities.
We cannot develop this sector where the bulk of the benefits redound to only to the investors, and Guyanese do not see any improvement in their lives, or they cannot share that prosperity. The resources belong to them, and they have a right to share this prosperity.
Stakeholders at the local content consultations held in February thanked the government for the initiative, as they noted that it augurs well for Guyanese.
For us, we also welcome what you talked about, President, with the policy being something that is akin to more of national development and not just for the oil. The policy, as you're talking about today, is for the oil sector, but this is part of something that you're looking at nationally as well.
I really would like to congratulate the team that worked on this. I have to say thank you very much for taking many of our comments. I will see you in the document. fairly happy. Anything else, we will give it a thought. Thanks very much.
The government has also committed to managing the sector transparently. It is looking to establish a beneficial ownership register in line with Ghana's obligations to the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. This will serve to prevent corruption in the industry. A task force has been established to fast-track the planning for the gas-to-energy project, which is expected to cut the cost of power in half within the next 3 years. The Environmental Protection Agency has recently concluded an entire month of consultations with the general public on the project's environmental impact assessment. To further realize the transformative project, the government has made an amendment to the Petroleum Exploration and Production Act, which sets out a framework for the use of lands on or through which ExxonMobil will lay the onshore aspect of the gas-to-energy pipeline.
This act is basically giving oversight to the government in the acquisition of private land to facilitate the laying of the pipeline and the realization of the power generation plant. Previously, Mr. Speaker, the licensee could have acted upon themselves. However, we see it fit that the government play a role so that we can protect the rights of our citizens, we can protect the rights of private landowners to ensure that they are fully compensated so as to facilitate this project.
Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Office for Investment, Dr. Peter Ramsrup, expects this project to revolutionize business in Ghana and create wealth for the people.
When I sit in this office and investors come in, some of them want to do large-scale operation. We have had people come in and talk about a glass factory. You know, we have the best silica sand in this part of the region. You need cheaper energy to do that. So those investors, knowing that cheaper energy will be available in Guyana 2.5 years approximately, will start planning out those type of investments. It changes our landscape. It changes our wealth. It's creation of wealth for our population. That's what the president wants.
Guyana has received a total of US $436 million in oil money, inclusive of profits from 7 oil lifts and royalties, with not a cent spent. The government has committed to a complete overhaul of the Natural Resource Fund Act, which governs the management of Ghana's oil money. And while government continues to ensure that prudent measures are taken to manage Guyana's revenues, ExxonMobil has announced several more discoveries in the Stabroek Block, taking Guyana's estimated reserves to over 9 billion oil equivalent barrels. The operators of the 𝐎𝐍𝐄 𝐘𝐄 oil blocks are currently exploring more prospects.
So our country will go through a transformational phase over the next 5 to 10 years. It is no secret that Guyana is now an oil-producing nation, and the attention and investment that we are attracting now is unprecedented. Every single day we have investors coming to Guyana, coming to our shores, wanting to invest in Guyana. And today, activity shows that we value our local investors. Our local investors must play a meaningful role in the development of our country. We are about to take off on a developmental trajectory that will take our country to a different place, that will transform the landscape of Guyana. And we need to prepare ourselves as agencies, as ministries, as operators, suppliers. We need to prepare ourselves to take the opportunities when they're presented to us.